Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to go over how to do this 3D tracking, sort of advanced 3D tracking effect that I use on some of my videos on Instagram. This is probably the most requested tutorial on my page, and yeah, it's probably a little bit too long to put a full tutorial on Instagram, so that's why we're here. We're going to go step by step and just show you how to do the whole process. Now I do have a very simplified 3D tracking basics video that I suggest you go check out. I'll put the link right here. Check that out first to learn about 3D tracking and then come back here. But anyway, let's get into it. So first things first, I got to open After Effects here. I got my 3D track clip here that I've dragged in. I'm going to click and drag this onto this little icon. And now it's created a composition called 3D track clip. I'm going to go to the composition settings, and you can see it's created it the same size as what my clip was, 2160 by 3840. This is basically just 4K, but I filmed it vertical, which is fine. So okay, that's what the setup is. Now the first thing we're going to do is go through and find where we want to start tracking. Now obviously I don't want to be tracking around here because it's all blurry. So I'm going to go about, say, here, where I can start tracking cleanly. I'm going to push Control Shift and D together to split it, because I don't want to track this first part because the track will fail. Remember, we're only tracking just to the phone itself. We don't want to be tracking anything else. So I'll chuck that in there. Now what I'm going to do is pre-compose just this top one. Now pre-compose, I'm going to select the second one so I can put all the stuff inside of it. And I'll just call this, say, tracking comp. Well, I'm going to adjust the composition to be the same size as well. Go OK. So now it's created a new composition called tracking comp. And it's over here as well. So we've created a new composition inside of our main composition. If I double click on this, now it's gone into this comp, and obviously it's just got our clip in there from where I cut it. So that's why we've got to click that make composition the same length, whatever it was called. So now inside that comp we just made, I'm going to go right click and go new and add solid. Now just call this whatever you want. I'll just leave it as black solid 1. And basically, what is a solid? It's just like a color that is the same size as our composition. So this is also 2160 by 3840. Go OK. Now our solid layer is on top there, and it's just, like I said, you can just move it around. You can push S, you can scale it down. It's just a solid layer that's the same size as our composition. Now, what we're going to do here is select the black solid, push T, drop the opacity down to say 50, 40, something like that, just so we can see through the solid and down onto our clip. Then with our black solid selected, we're going to go and select the pen tool and just do a rough mask around the shape of the phone. And we're going to go and click into the mask properties, expand them, and just invert it, because we want to create a mask, like a cutout of our solid, so we can see through the solid. You're just cutting a shape like a, like a mask that you can cut through. Now, obviously we want this mask, you just need this mask to be like sort of rough. So notice I haven't gone perfectly on the phone. You don't want that. Just leave a little bit of a gap like that. Now I'm going to push V. So pen tool is G, and then V is selection tool. So I always push V to selection, click on the mask, go down here to mask path, make sure I'm at the start, and click the stopwatch. Now it's added a keyframe for that shape of the mask. I'm just going to drag this forward, and notice it goes out of our phone. We don't want that. So I'm going to click and drag this over. Now notice the whole mask was moving. I'm going to hold shift and just click once and then let go of shift. And now if I grab that, I can just do one vertex at a time. Just try and keep it sort of the same distance off the phone that it was like originally, if that makes sense. So here, and then I'm going to go forward until it starts moving again. And move it a little bit, so it adds another keyframe. Each time you do a movement, it's going to add another keyframe, so just be wary of that. Then move over here, where it's a little bit janky again. Just move these corners. Just making sure that doesn't pass the outside of the phone. So this is a very rough mask. No rotoscoping needed, just literally just this. And then go to here where it starts moving, so you can add another keyframe. Go to where it's moved. Add some more movement in there. And then go to here where it starts moving again. Oh, I lost the mask, so you just gotta select the mask again. Every time you reselect the mask, it's going to move the whole thing again. So you need to hold shift again, select one, and then let go of shift, and then just move that again. So you can move just the individual. So if I go through and just quickly look at this, just make sure that the mask, I'll go T, select the back solid, push T, and push the opacity back to 100. And then go through and have a look. Now the mask is pretty good. Now, so that's all we need is just a rough mask around the phone. Now, just a little bit of bonus points here if you want to add more, make the tracking even better. I'm going to go right click and go new and add an adjustment layer. Then I'm going to go to the effects and presets and type in unsharp mask. If you haven't got effects and presets up there, click on the window where you want it to be, go to window and then add effects and presets. I'm going to take this unsharp mask and drop it onto the adjustment layer. Then I'm going to increase the sharpness amount. Just a little bit there. Just make it a little bit more detailed. Okay, now that that's done, go back into our 3D track clip. So now we're left with this clip here, which we didn't do anything with at the start. And then it's going to start tracking here. So our mask gets added. And this is why we selected the second option with our, when we're creating our comp, because now we've got a clip here, which is just called tracking comp. Doesn't have any effects on it or anything. Doesn't, you know, all the stuff is inside that comp. So I'll make sure I'm at the start. I'm going to right click and go track and stabilize and go track camera. Then I'll go to a detailed analysis. So we can, don't know whether that does anything or not, but yeah, we're just going to whack that in anyway. And then if you look at this here, so it's not your normal track because we've added the solid into that comp and we've cut out a window. So basically we're forcing After Effects to put all the tracking markers just on the phone's icons and the phone screen and everything. So we're forcing After Effects to just track what we want it to. So it's hopefully by doing that, we add more tracking points, but also just tracking points on the thing that's moving. Now, if we did track this without having the solid in there, it would put tracking points everywhere else, and it will probably go, okay, sweet, this is a stationary camera, and then your tracking wouldn't be as good on the phone. Whereas this way, you're sort of cheating the system and adding like a, I don't know, the 3D camera would look weird. Yeah. Anyway, we've got this here, so we'll bang this in, and notice we've got absolute boatload of tracking markers. I'm going to increase the track size. Now, if you haven't got this effect controls thing, again, select the window you want it in, go to window, go down to effect controls, make sure you got that. Select that. So this is our 3D tracking effects. Just increase that. So now that we've got that sorted, we can go inside our tracking comp. So double click on that. And we can go to our black solid, and we can just hide that. You can just delete them, hide them both. So now we've got nothing in our comp, like showing. Go back to our 3D track clip. Now we've just got our normal clip that we didn't do anything to before. And we go through and it transitions into our 3D track clip, which has nothing in it now anyway as well. But we do, if we can increase the size, now we do have all of these tracking points that are just on the phone. There's nowhere else because we forced it with our solid. So this is the key to getting a good 3D track when you're getting movements and stuff. That would be the key too. So we can go through here and select some tracking points. So start putting some assets in there. So if I left click and select 3 of those tracking points, now it doesn't actually matter which tracking points you select. Like, you know, people will tell you have to select, like bulk select all of these. You don't have to do any of that. You can literally just select 3 of them. It's still using all the other tracking points as a reference. But I just don't want to be selecting like, you know, these ones that are on the angle like that, because it just creates more work for me. I got to go realign it and stuff. So get as close as I can. So I'm going to left click that, right click and go create text in camera. Now it's going to create a text layer, and it's created a 3D camera layer here. So there's now, the text is now stuck to the screen. Perfect. Now the text layer is obviously longer then, so once the text layer gets out here where there's no camera, notice the camera is this pink one. You need to get to the camera before it starts getting stuck to the phone, because we only tracked from that point. So I can just go here to our text layer, going to Control Shift D, delete that left one. So now we've got the text layer doing what it's doing there. So if I left click this text layer, I'm going to lift it up, drag it to the left, and like I did before, I think I just wrote like Oppo find space, oh, enter X9 Pro. And then we take this, and just like any normal text layer, you can just take your layer here, go to your things. I think I use Bebe Neue Pro bold. Yeah, so we get capital letters. Then I'll make this centered. Then I'll actually drop this down so they're a little bit closer together. Drag this to the left. And then I'll come here and I'll select this. So I'll select out of it. So I'm not in the 3D or I'm not in the text layer. I'm going to push a V. So I'm not in the text thingy. Select our text layer, push S, and then drag this down because it's pretty huge. Now drag it faster, hold Shift and drag to the left. Okay. Now if I drag this to the right and then drag it up, now we're going to use the bounds of this box to try and align it so it aligns pretty good. So I'm going to align it there, go back here, click out here, and obviously the X9 is inside the thing. So I'll just drag that out a little bit more so it's not touching. Yep. And then obviously push V to put selection back again and go up here. So now I've got a perfectly tracked text layer. Now for the graphics. Now the graphics are actually, there's a lot of work in making these graphics. Now I've pre-made all of these graphics here. Individual elements, large elements. So remember we've got our comps here. Make sure we're in the 3D track comp. And I'm going to take, I think I've got a square one here. So I've pre-made all these. I'm going to drag this square one in there. So I go back to our 3D track clip, drag this square HUD in here. Now, as soon as you add something in, drag something in, it's going to be a 2D layer. Now, actually, before I go any further here, if you want these HUD graphics, you can just search up on YouTube and go, how do you make HUD graphics in After Effects, whatever. Or you can just grab these in the link in bio. I've got a whole pack there for sale. If you want that, I mean, they honestly take a long time to make, especially having them be sort of customizable. So I'll take this here. Now drag this over to be at the start of the clip so that it animates in. So notice we've got our HUD graphic here. Now, the only thing is our HUD graphic is just a 2D graphic on a 2D plane. It's not 3D yet. So what we need to do, let's take our HUD graphic and click the 3D button. So now our HUD graphic is in 3D, but it's obviously in the middle of nowhere mucking around. So we need something that we can latch onto that has a good sort of starting point. And that text layer, I think, it's in the same plane as our phone. So to make it easy, go into our text layer, open it up, take the position, and then Control select the orientation as well, and then push Control C, copy, and then the square HUD graphic, Control V, and now we've just pasted it into the orientation and the same plane rotation as our text layer, because our text layer was in a pretty good spot. Now I'll take the square, push S, I'll scale it up. So we've got this HUD graphic layer. So now we've got this perfectly tracked HUD graphic layer in the same plane as the phone. Now obviously I'll drag this down, drag this across, and then I'll push S. I might scale this down a little bit and move it up a little bit, move it to the right. Now I'm gonna rotate this, probably move it up a little bit, maybe out in the Z-axis, and then rotate this in. So now I've got this layer that's sort of, you know, my phone's here, it's sort of on the angle like that, you know, because I want it to sort of be a little bit different. And because it'll be sort of far away if we have it in the same plane that's off to the side. And I think it looks pretty cool doing that. So we go in there, add that in. Now I might add a loading bar. This adds some cool sort of elements to it. Again, drag that so the animation starts at the start. Then I'll go through and again, I'm going to take the square 3, position and orientation, Control C, and then just paste it on the loading bar. So now the loading bar, oh, that was so every time you do that, I'm going to Control Z that and make sure it's 3D. It has to be a 3D layer first and then Control V. So now our loading bar should be in the same spot as our thing. Now I'm going to push S, scale our loading bar up, lift it up to the top. Now, one thing I like to do is, these are all just 2D layers. You gotta understand this. They're just 2D planes with animations playing on them. Now, if you have everything in the same plane, it doesn't really look that cool. So use just the copy paste thing to get them in the same plane, line it up where you want it to, and then I just drag these out a little bit. So I'm dragging it sort of on the Z axis out away from the square. So now, if we have a look at this, you've got the square on its own plane and then the loading bar is out on its own plane. And because I'm rotating and angling it, this actually looks really, really cool. It looks more 3D than not doing that, you know? So I'll drag this down a little bit. Now, of course, all this stuff in here, if I just double click on the loading bar, you can come in and you can change the names, change the colors. So if I change this to something like that, I mean, you can change the colors of everything else. If you wanted that to be red, like anything like that, I just like to keep my white sort of a little bit more streamlined. You can have that blue, so it matches the background. So we've got the loading bar in there. Now the cool thing about this is I've got these sort of square HUD animations already built, like these are, but these are a lot of these are good sort of base animations for these. But if you go to the individual elements, so I've got sort of small circle here, this stuff here, like all this stuff is just sort of makes it easier to add cool little gizmos and gadgets to stuff here. So this circle here, they're animated. So these are sort of animated like that. So if I take one of these small circles, maybe say this one, add it on top. Now this is just like a small circle. Do the same thing, not the loading bar, do the square. Position and orientation, Control C, and then make sure this is a 3D layer first, Control V. So now it's in the sort of realms of that. I'm going to select the small circle, scale it up, and then drag it out. And then drag this so the animation starts at the start. So if you look at this, it starts with all this stuff happening, boom. So you've got all these different layers on different planes, just doing all different things. Now, of course, these can all be animated themselves as well. So this layer here, if I wanted to animate, this is how you make sort of cool animations is say come here to when it starts coming in, and I'll open this up and go to Z rotation, put a keyframe. It's doing absolutely nothing. Come to here, and I'm going to rotate that by maybe 360 degrees 2 times. So that's going to rotate, look at that, rotate about the Z axis. So that's cool. Grab these two and make sure we're on the speed graph. So this is the rotation, add a little curve to it. So just make sure you grab the keyframes themselves, grab these two here, click on the graph and adjust the graph to be like this. And then of course, add some motion blur. So now when you animate that, you've got this thing spinning and it's really, just makes it a little bit more dynamic. Now you can even go even further and just go say add a position keyframe and make it back a little bit. Come back out here and then put the position out even further. So grab those two keyframes again, grab just the keyframe, drag that in so it does like a nice little smooth movement. So that's going to go from there, it's going to spin, and it's going to push out away from the square there. So now you've got these cool animations happening. So everything sort of happens in of itself. It rotates about itself. You can just add all these animations. And obviously, finally for this side, I'm going to add some text in there. So I'll take the small circle there. So I'm going to just come in here, go T. Actually, I might even just push V. Grab the Oppo Find X Pro, going to Control D, duplicate it, because it's already in a 3D space. The small circle, I want it to be on this plane. So I'm going to take that and go position, maybe it's about here, maybe about there, position, and the orientation. Oh, maybe I'll go back here where it's not rotated at all. Got to go somewhere where it's not rotated, go position, or I might actually take the square. So I'm going to take the square, open that up, then go to position and orientation, Control C, and then the Oppo Find X Pro 2, Control V. So now it's on the same plane as the square. Double click on this, and then obviously just research the thing you're putting stuff on. I know that the Oppo has a big battery, so I'll put 7500 mAh battery. It's got a massive battery. Not sponsored by Oppo, by the way. This is just the phone that I've got. And then I'm going to go to the 75, push S, scale this down, hold shift because that's very big. So this comes in. Now, I'll put that actually up to the middle. Drag this out to there. Actually make that smaller. And then obviously if you see there, so the Oppo X Find 9 X Pro, whatever, and the other text, both are just sort of, they just appear. So a good thing you can do here is just go here and go opacity flicker in. So I'll flicker in that, and then same thing, flicker in for the Oppo Find X9 Pro. So now they're both going to flicker in. Obviously I want this is just personal taste, but I want this text to sort of flicker in later. So maybe about here somewhere once some of the animation's done. Boom. So now we've got this perfectly tracked HUD graphics, text, anything. You could basically add whatever you want in there. It's going to be perfectly tracked to the phone. Obviously, if you've got my HUD pack, just go through, check out all of the little sort of dials and everything that you can add in. There's heaps of different elements. The individual elements are what you can add on different layers to create depth and make them a little bit more 3D, if that makes sense. You know, everything like that is going to add just more depth to your videos. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is the finished video. Obviously for the right hand side, I just did exactly what I did on the left. Repeated the steps, just used some circular HUD graphics, and then really utilizing the individual layers to give it a bit more depth. So yeah, you can follow through with all of that, you know, easy as. So yeah, if you want to pick up this HUD graphics pack, links in the description, as well as all my other editing packs, my LUTs, my film burns, etc. Check out the link in the description. But yeah, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment on this video. It helps heaps, and I'll see you in the next one.